Hello and welcome to On the Bench, the fortnightly podcast for scale modelers by scale modelers. Available on iTunes, Stitcher, and all good podcast apps. While you're there, don't forget to mark us as your favourite so that you never miss a show. On the Bench is supported by Fine Scale Modeler. Fine Scale Modeler is one of the world's most recognised modelling magazines and is currently celebrating 35 years. Fine Scale Modeler magazine can be found in all good newsagents or wherever you go to purchase your magazines. Alternatively, you can go directly to their website, www.finescale.com, and subscribe to get the magazine home delivered, as well as access to the digital edition. And while you're on their webpage, don't forget to check out the product info section, the galleries, a great how-to section, the videos, and of course the very active community forum. And of course, Fine Scale Modeler has an active Facebook page. Just go to www.facebook.com/Fine Scale Modeler. And hello to our latest Patreon supporter, Glenn Adams. If you would like to help support the podcast like Glenn has done, you can do so by going to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount starting from $1. Your contribution will help cover our operating costs and are greatly appreciated by both myself and the rest of the crew. Coming up in this episode, we're going to be looking at what's new in the modelling world. Also, we're going to be dissecting Telford and all the new model announcements from there. Then we're going to have a chat about one 1/44th scale aircraft. We meant to do that last episode, but unfortunately ran out of time. And to help us with that, we got Chris Howell back in the studio again. He's been building some aircraft recently in that scale. And I've also bought about 5 new aircraft in that scale myself. So, let's get on with the show. And hello and welcome to the latest episode of On the Bench, and in the studio I've got Ian. G'day Ian.
G'day Dave. Hello listeners.
The one and only Ian.
That's me.
And we've got Julian.
Yeah.
And our special guest tonight who's going to be helping us with our chat on 1/144th scale models, Chris Howell. Yeah, good thanks mate. How's things? Good, thank you. Excellent. So guys, what have you been doing since the last episode? I'll start with you, Ian.
Not a great deal. As people, if they've seen the Facebook post, I've managed to get the aerials done on the Shikaku and one of the main cranes that's on the flight deck, and that was about it, really. Bit on the quiet side.
Has that etch set you've been waiting for finally come in yet?
No, I don't ever expect to see that. I think I've blown my money on that one.
Oh no! So what are you going to do? Just build without it?
I'm going to have to. I'm running out of time.
You're going to build a
And
Shikaku
funds.
with no gussets or anything like that?
Well, I'll just have to use the kit ones.
Oh, okay. Right, that'll do you, won't it?
Yeah, might have to just sand them down really thin to make a bit more scale-like.
Yeah.
Did get some figures for it though.
Oh, all those North Star.
I bought a North Star set, which is the Judo Championship.
Yep.
So there's a whole heap of figures in there just standing around, which will look good. And Fujimi does a box set with about, I think, 210 figures.
And what's new, we'll talk about some of the new North Star stuff that they've just announced as well. So that'll be pretty cool. Excellent. Julian.
Still plugging away on the P38.
Yep.
Which I started just before last episode, I think it was.
Yeah,
that's
you
right.
did, yeah.
Yeah, so
Because Ian and I introduced you to white glue.
Yeah. we talked about it. I haven't got any yet. I'll need it soon, I think. I've got a lot of the construction done. Cockpit's all done. Cockpit's all resin.
Yep.
Got all that done. It's got a nice seat belt on it because it's got an ultra car seat. Got the, what would you call it? The fuselage, quote unquote, which is like the nose nacelle kind of deal.
Yeah.
The pod.
The pod. Okay, we'll call it the pod. Yeah, we got that part and the maiden wings glued together, all sanded up, everything. I'm now sort of putting that onto the nacelle boom type deals that have the engines on them.
Cool.
It's coming along, but it's coming along a bit slowly because of all the alignment type issues related to it. So now that I'm coming down to the very last part of putting it all together, all the major portions of it, I'm having to glue sort of the 4 points that they attach via very, very slowly. I'll glue one part, wait till that's dried, and then align the next bit. Yeah, so...
What's the finish? Is it going to be bare metal finish or...?
No, this one's olive drab over neutral grey.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to get the paint on it because this. I mean, my sort of the way I would rate the construction of this kit is that it's kind of a notch above the average special hobby short run kit kind of feel.
Yep.
I mean, it'd probably be like a passable regular kit, but because it's got this square shaped layout with the twin booms and two sets of wings linking them together, it's got more. You got to be finer with your alignment, otherwise it's all a bit funny.
You need to get a jig.
I better say, like a jig up or something, just out of cardboard.
A jig just to make one plane.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make more than one.
We get one jig for just tracks.
Buy Lego.
I have Lego. I have plenty of Lego.
There you go. Make a jig out of Lego.
No. It's fine. Like it's almost there. It's just it's a matter of like lining up, like so that you don't have any steps where say the wing meets the nacelle.
Yep.
Right. So on one side it fits perfectly, but on the outside of it, and on the inside there's like a 1 mil gap. If I get it to run nice and flush, so it's tricky, but I'll get it there.
Yep.
There'll be a significant amount of filling and sanding and all that sort of
the joy
stuff.
of it, mate.
It's got.
I'm just looking forward to you starting your Lexington.
Oh, is that what you're waiting for?
Yeah. Hooking us some photo etch.
I'm going to have to find a place to put it.
Well, how big is it? It's scale.
Well, it's 700 scale.
700 scale, and he wants a place to put it.
You
really?
You got a desk at
Come
work?
on.
I've got my cabinets are for planes and tanks. You know, they're short things, not like these long things.
Well, 700 scale is not long. It's not big.
No. But you've got your own desk at work?
Oh, not really. No, not like that.
Oh.
It's more like a workstation.
So I managed to put a little cabinet in at my office in work.
No, right.
So I display some of my kits because I ran out of room.
Is it, now I'm starting to picture your office to look like, you know, like those great big wooden desks with the high back chair and the cigars in the
Nothing could be further from the truth.
I wish.
Nothing could be further from the truth.
The big desk is right. It's not one of those big. It's just, as Dave knows, he's got one of my desks.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's just a big room.
All right, and on that note, I think we'll have a very short break and then we'll come back and have a look at what's new in the modelling world. And welcome back to On the Bench, and the next segment is what's new in the modelling world, and we have to start by talking about Telford. Some of the big announcements that came out there.
Exactly.
Oh, my gosh. Well, do you want to kick the ball off?
Well, yeah, the first two I saw was Airfix. They were bringing out a new 124 scale aircraft.
Oh, I was gutted by the Airfix announcement.
The Grumman
I really was.
F6 F3 Hellcat.
Well, as much as I like...
Beautiful aircraft.
Oh, I know. As much as it looks like a great kit and everything, I was really hoping that they'd do an aircraft carrier, the HMS Queen Elizabeth.
Boring.
No, it's not boring. And Glenn Adams, who has recently just become a Patreon, he wrote on our Facebook page, after the big reveal at the Airfix stand, I asked about any plans for new aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth in 1350 scale. And apparently they assured him that as the Illustrious was not a big success for them, they would not be doing the Queen Elizabeth. Now, it staggers me that the Illustrious wasn't a big sort of seller for Airfix. I can't believe that.
Well, modern aircraft carriers are pretty boring looking.
Oh, but the Lusty, it's got so much history and everything. It went down to the Falklands, and I can't. No, it just staggers me that. And when I read that, Glenn, you broke my heart. When I read that, I had to go off in the corner and have a bit of a sob because now I guess I've got to wait for, I don't know, Trumpeter or someone to
Scratch build it, Dave.
No, I'm not that good.
Well, at least if it's Trumpeter, right, you'll probably get some decent aftermarket, right?
Yeah, but I'm worried whether the Trumpeter A team or B team sort of design it. That's
What you do is just got to wait for Heller to bring one out in 1/400 scale.
No, don't say that.
So you
But
can
yes,
really wreck your constant scale.
The Wildcat, though. Was
The Hellcat?
Hellcat, sorry.
Yeah.
Beautiful looking aircraft.
Stunning looking kit.
Yep.
Absolutely stunning. It's even got the stressed skin.
And
Well, all of their 24 scale kits generally have stress skin, don't they?
Well, the only other one they've done, really, the modern one was the Typhoon, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, Typhoon has it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's the standard
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah. And the other big news was from Wingnut Wings.
yes, go ahead.
1/32 scale Handley Page 0400.
It's
Bloody
going to be
paralyzer.
huge.
It's bigger than the Lank.
It's bigger than 1/32 scale Lancaster.
Yep. It's massive.
Yeah.
And I've saw today they've released another duelist set
Yes.
coming the end of the year with the Harry Tate and trying to think, and a German aircraft. Sorry, I can't remember the name, which German aircraft it was.
Yeah.
So all those people that have been flogging off their Harry Tates really high prices on eBay are going to be
Sorely disappointed,
Exactly, because you can now get a Harry Tate again, an RE8.
I see Hong Kong, there's some pictures floating around of their Lancaster as well. It's still going to make a decent kit.
Oh, yeah. But I also saw that Wingnuts is going to be selling just the cockpit section as well for the Lancaster.
For the Lancaster, yeah. I think we touched on that on the last episode.
May
we
have.
were just doing it as that had been announced. But yeah, I reckon it's a great idea and a great initiative. Same as Hong Kong models with their Lancaster. Limited release is going to be the see-through plastic that they're going to be doing.
Not a fan of see-through plastic.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm interested about the two big Lancasters is if you ever see anyone with the Hong Kong one, will you ever say to them, "Oh, so you couldn't afford the other one?" Right?
Well, it depends.
Or you bought in too early, or whatever the reason is, because that's got to be a soft spot for them, right?
Oh, it'd have to be, especially if you pre-ordered it with put some money down.
Well, I know one guy who's put a fair bit of money down on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're not going to name and shame, are you?
No, I won't do that to him. But other news, Edward, 48 scale, bringing out a new Tempest, which apparently everyone's raving about.
48 scale.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't mind the Tempest. It's a bit out of my. I prefer the actual World War II type stuff, right?
Well, Tempests were used near the end of the war.
It's just scraping by. It's like paper Panzer type
I'm
stuff.
pretty sure
isn't
one
it?
of those was actually shot down by a German Focke-Wulf TR 152, or was it 152 or 182, which is the.
I'm not sure.
I can't
But-
remember.
Oh,
I know one was
the high altitude Focke-Wulf. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
182.
Yeah, 182, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. one of those
Tempest, beautiful aircraft.
Yes.
Absolutely
Big
gorgeous.
tail on them.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, that's to basically keep it, stop it from doing bloody rolls in mid-air because of the torque of the engine.
Yeah, absolutely. But, it was a refined development from the Typhoon, which is a bit of a dog.
Yep.
Yeah, and it just came out. And it's a beautiful looking aircraft as well. I don't know what it was like as a dogfighter, but as a ground attack, it was superb.
Oh, they were, yeah. Big and solid.
Absolutely. So what other news have we got? Let's have a look. AJM Models, which is a Polish company, they have announced that they're doing the Scott-class destroyers. I think they're destroyers, not frigates.
Yeah, they're destroyers.
They're doing the HMS Campbell in the 1942. Looks like the Northern Approach is camouflage. And they're also doing the HMS Mackay in the 1945 rigging and setup and camouflage as well. You can get them through a great little company which is called, probably some of you guys know already, Starling Models. They do a lot of great stuff.
So are they injection or resin?
I think they're injection.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So they won't be stupidly priced then.
No, one hopes not. We touched on this before about North Star Models. They're going to be doing some Royal Navy sets excuse me, I'll go catch up. Sorry, beg your pardon. 3D printed US Navy figures for the Bofors guns, and they're coming out in 1/144 scale, 1/200 scale, and 1/350 scale. And you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys to mount the twin mount Bofors or the quad, I should say. And you get 3 extra guys who are like the
Spotters.
Spotters, yeah.
Yep.
So I reckon that'd be
It
pretty
looks
good.
really cool.
It
Yeah.
does. And I'm pretty sure the guns actually come with it as well. The Bofors come in that scale.
Oh, really?
I think it's not just the figures. I
I would-
will
I would-
stand corrected on that.
I reckon it won't be too long before you'll see like a really nice diorama of that. And if we don't, then that's just a horrible, thing that should happen. And it'll be really disappointing if I don't see that happen.
There we go. The directors are included, but the guns are available separately, and I guess that's from North Star.
Yep.
Have you got your North Star stuff in yet, Ian?
Yeah, I've got some what they call the sumo competition,
Yep.
which is a whole heap of Japanese sailors in 1/350 scale watching two guys slugging it out.
Right.
They're beautiful. I've got a lot of North Star figures, US Navy figures, that I bought for my Yorktown project when I finally get around to doing that. That's the other big epic carrier kit I've got.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're beautiful figures. North Star do a great job on their figures.
I'm really intrigued to see how yours come up. I'm really looking forward to that. Next up, we have from Stalingrad. They've got a set of German tankers in 1/35 scale. This also comes with a little pussycat as well. So, you're a figure guy.
Yeah,
Chris?
They do nice figures.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Nice resin castings, those.
So these guys are posed so they can sort of look like they're draping around a tank and just
Relaxing.
just relaxing and playing with a little pussycat that they found somewhere in the middle of Russia. No doubt.
I wonder how much that would go for that whole set.
They're not cheap.
Yeah.
I know not the Stalingrad figures are quite expensive.
Yeah, I mean,
Because one thing that...
$80 probably.
What each?
No,
For the set of 5, right.
Okay.
A bit more, I'm not sure.
I mean, I know, for people who are beginning to do dioramas and they struggle to make a scene that looks real, if they got that figure set, they'd be well on the way, I think.
Yeah. You wouldn't really even need a tank. You could just sit them around on boxes and.
No, yeah.
Well, that's a good point too.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. I got to say, the little cat that they got there as a model looks quite amusing, doesn't it? Looks good.
It's good. It's good to see them on downtime as well. So military scenes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just kicking around.
Yeah.
Not in action poses in combat.
Yeah, action poses kind of struggle to look real enough,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and hard to sort of incorporate in a diorama, but I quite like those soldiers at rest, which they spent probably 90% of
The time doing it, yeah, exactly.
Life Miniatures have announced the release of their latest sculpt, which they call Standing Alone. It's a 1/12 scale bus. Actually, it's
That's a 3/4 figure.
beg your pardon, yeah, 3/4 figure, but it goes with their bus series, which they call Standing Alone, I think, and it's
Well,
a
you post
futuristic series of figures. And with this as their latest in their line, the 1/12 ones. It's a female, looks like from an apocalyptic,
Yeah,
obviously.
post-apocalyptic style.
So this figure is clear, for someone who plays video games, this is clearly meant to be...
Lara Croft.
No, not Lara Croft, but another figure from a very well-known video game. The name escapes me right now. But often figure companies will do that. They'll give it like a kind of close but not quite kind of name of a figure that they model on a video game figure, so that people who are fans of the video game can go out and buy these things and paint, or have someone else paint them up.
Okay.
And have this thing as in their sort of collection of figures and things and paraphernalia for games and stuff. But they can't actually give it the correct name because otherwise they'll get sued.
Well, I think Andrea Miniatures that brings to name. I've got a few of their figures. Like I remember doing a Spider-Man, which they called the Arachnid.
Yeah, a lot of
Yes.
do that.
Yeah.
Busts from the Game of Thrones series.
Yes.
Which again have got sort of
The-
vague names alluding to who they
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they'll...
Sansa Stark is one. I can't remember what the company that did that.
Oh yeah, and it'll have something like
Queen of the North.
Queen of the North.
Well, also,
something.
they got them for Vikings because they got that figure, what they call Shield Maiden,
Ah, yeah.
which
that's
is
right.
what was her name, Laeta or whatever her name was, the Queen
Oh.
Ragnar
Lager.
Lagertha. Yes,
Yeah.
that's
So
a great looking figure. That one.
Yeah.
I'd imagine the hair would be one of the hardest things to do, would it not, Chris?
Yeah, probably. No, the eyes, I reckon.
Yeah,
eyes are always the hardest.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hair, getting a realistic look on the hair
Yeah.
is a challenge as well. But the skin tones on that, there's obviously a lot of skin.
Yeah, it's got
exposed out of the clothing, so yeah, you don't want to be up on your skin tones painting that.
A 1/12 scale is quite a large one too. Yep, so it'd take quite a bit of work.
Probably good to airbrush the basic colours on that. I
Yep.
reckon, and then do the detail work.
Yep.
Because it'd be
Yeah.
fairly large, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's all I've got for what's new so far. Have you guys got any sort of new stuff?
I've
at
already
all?
said my new stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know much about what goes on.
No, you don't. You rely on us.
Yeah, when I leave this podcast, I go home to my cave and I stay well within it until I come out into the daylight, squinting and
Squinting.
It's like a vampire.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that in mind, then I think we'll take a very short break and we'll be back to have a chat about 11444 scale. Let me start again.
1 to 144 scale, Dave.
I'll be back soon. And we're back to have a chat about aircraft in 1/144th scale. I got that right then, eh?
You did.
Got it out.
You get eventually.
So what got me onto this gig is, you all may remember, some time ago I decided to build bombers, and I was going to do modern bombers in 1/72nd scale. So I merrily went off and started purchasing. I think I got the
Vulcan.
I got the Vulcan from Airfix in 1/72nd. I got the Victor, and I sort of purchased these without thinking about where the heck I'm going to put them, and I realised I didn't have any room anywhere. And it wasn't until I saw Chris bring a couple of his 1/144th scale kits to our club meeting, I thought the light bulb goes ding off the top of my head, and I thought, oh man, that's the way to go to do sort of large aircraft. So,
yes.
Chris, how you been going with yours? You enjoying it?
Yeah, good. Yeah, and I probably have to qualify my expertise a little bit here to say that I've made 3 kits now.
Well, yeah, it's 3 more than I've made.
Yeah, I'm not an expert in aircraft modelling at all, and I'm sure there's lots of listeners who've built 1/144 scale aircraft and know a lot more about it than me. But what struck me about it was just a new thing for me, and a bit of I hit a bit of a slow point with my figure painting. So I fancied something new, and came across a kit in my stash which I bought a few years ago at a model show when I saw somebody had entered in the competition a number of these models on little diorama bases,
Yep.
which I was quite inspired by, and I went off one of the traders, they were selling them, and I bought a Platts Hellcat and stuck it in the cupboard, as you do with many things, and then unearthed it recently and thought I'd put it together.
What stands me is the amount of detail that they're packing into these scales.
Well, especially nowadays.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah,
I remember
absolutely.
years ago, used to be able to get there. I think they were LS, did 1 to 144 scale. They probably still do, but these were quite basic back in the early
originally,
early
though,
80s.
the scale was more for the airliners, wasn't it? And that's where it's
Yes, 1
drifted
to
out from.
144 was
Yeah.
mainly airliners.
And
yep.
so if you're an airline builder, you're probably sitting back going, scoffing into the speaker.
Yes. But no, I remember I built one years ago when I was quite a youngster, and I remember it was a Panavia Tornado. And I even had the swing wings. It was quite chuffed at that time. It was a great little kit.
Well, surprisingly, I've gone and purchased some kits from Revell because I went and bought 5-6 kits the other day. And Revell, 3 of those kits, because they were only the particular aircraft was available by that particular company. So I'm going to dip my toe back into the Revell kit market, which I haven't done for so long. And I've always been sort of poo-pooing Revell kits for their poor fit, but geez, looking at these...
That's years ago.
Yeah, I know, but geez, looking at these look gorgeous.
One thing I have learned since I've been doing a bit of research into it, you do have to choose your kit quite carefully. As Ian said, some of the older kits really are quite ordinary.
Yeah, we have no interior detail or anything.
Yeah, and pretty rough.
Well, wouldn't most people say, why would you need interior detail in something so small?
Well, why super detail a ship in 1 to 350 scale?
Yeah,
You can see into the cockpit, and you do need a basic level.
It's a challenge. It's
Mhm.
a challenge. You think, oh, I'm going to be a jeweler maker here, and I'm just going to really go crazy on something really small and stupid.
If there was nothing in the cockpit, it would stand out more because just a gaping hole in there as you look through.
You'd have to paint it black.
You'd have to, well, yeah, or even sort of mask it off, put a bit of, but just a basic seat in there and that, and
Yeah, a couple of the kits I made have just had seats in them, and you probably don't need a lot more than that. If the canopy is quite clear, which they have been as well, you can see the seat quite clearly, and I painted the combing over the instrument panel just black.
Yep.
And that seems to suffice. But I did come across a company, Bren Gun, the other night. When I was
oh yeah, yep.
and they do detail sets for the cockpits and various other bits and pieces and accessories for the scale as well. So
I could be convinced to build one of these. They especially if it was something like sort of an appropriate size. And I'm looking at some of these that we've got here, and I think modern jets with twin engines, that's kind of a decent size.
yeah, they're a bit more sizable than the World War II sort of stuff.
Yeah, but generally World War II stuff is more my thing.
Yeah.
So it's a weird spot for me. I don't know if I was going to buy one, I'm not sure which one I would buy.
B29.
B29. I could be convinced to buy a B25 if there was one.
B29, B47. I've seen all these aircraft and
B47's
scales.
a beautiful aircraft. and they look-
B52.
I just can't remember what manufacturer it is that makes the 1 to 144 scale one, but it's a nice kit.
Now, what's the one? It just recently got announced as manufacturers built the Antonov aircraft. As Revell that did that,
Yep.
yes. Little side story about the Antonov.
Mm-hmm.
This is a cautionary note to those of you out there who may travel from time to time to different airports. So, as you know, I've been jetting around the world recently. So, normally I have a camera ready or something when I'm coming into a new airport because you never know what's sort of sitting on the tarmac. Anyway, flying into Hawaii, and I should have known better. Flying into Hawaii, for some reason, the camera was not to hand. And as we're coming in, I look down, what do I see? A B-52 sitting out there. And then there was a whole heap of Galaxies, a couple of fighters there. And I'm scrambling madly in my bag to try and find my camera. The plane had already landed. So I thought, well, never mind. Flying from Hawaii, I had to go via Auckland. And again, I didn't have my camera because I thought, what's going to be at Auckland Airport?
You'd be surprised.
Well, I was surprised. There wasn't one Antonov. There were two sitting there on the tarmac as we land and we're taxiing. And again, I'm going, where's my camera? And of course, you can't get out of your seat to get it from the overhead because you've landed and you're taxiing. So,
You missed out, Dave.
so always have your camera handy when you're flying, regardless of which airport you're going to land in, because you just never know what's sitting on the apron.
Yep.
Wise words.
Yeah, absolutely. Anywho, I diverge. The Antonov, yeah, that's a huge aircraft in 1144
Yeah.
scale. Absolutely massive.
Apparently, it's got a massive decal sheet too.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
And it's a bit expensive too. It's over $100.
Yeah. Well, you think of how large that kit's going to be.
Yeah. I ended up purchasing a Great Wall Hobby Victor, and that is just a superb looking kit. I can't believe how gorgeous that is. I'm really keen to sort of get past.
Well, why don't you run us through all of your purchases?
Oh, okay. Then if you want to do that, I did the Ian's trick. I went through B&A Hobbies, and rather than paying $10 for the postage, I bought $150 worth of kit, so I got free postage. So,
Only way to shop, Dave.
so in one hit, I got a Great Wall Hobby Victor. The next one I got was the F-14A Tomcat from Revell, a F-18A, I think it is, from Revell. Edward, I've got a couple of... Edward, that's quite good. It's got two MiGs into one box.
You get two kits.
Yep. And the other Revell model I got was the same one you came with, Chris, the Hawkeye,
Yep,
which is the carrier version of the AWACS.
that's it. Yeah.
And that looks like a gorgeous kit. Oh, I can't wait to get my hands on that. So I think that's all the kits I bought. The most expensive one at the lot was the Great Wall one. I think that was about
and looking at
$60.
looking at the Edward 144 scale MiG-21 SMT.
Yep.
That's got. I think pretty sure that's the exact same decal schemes you get with their 148 scale SMT kit.
Yeah,
Well-
I've noticed that with some
Yeah.
Android toxins.
So they just rescale the yeah.
Exactly. They've just shrunk everything down.
But
Well, I suppose they must think that they picked the really good ones, right?
There are some nice schemes. So you've got the one I want to do.
They do a few different boxings of that as well. I think they do one in Czech service.
Yes.
Well, it's a Czech company, so they have to.
what amazes me is the accessories you can get for this scale.
Yeah.
I'm just having a quick look through Bren Gun now that we're talking about them. So you've got the AV-AB Harrier GR7 engine nozzles, Spitfire wheel sets, 3 different types of tyres and spokes. You got the Horton 229A. Is that the actual kit or is it a?
Yeah, they do a kit and a detail set.
Oh,
Yeah.
look, and they got the F18 Super Hornet wheel set as well. So that's not bad if I could have a Super Hornet.
Oh, damn, you're gonna have to get all that.
I know. I'm just looking through this. I'm just realising how much it's going to kill me. And the range of kits that they produce as well, mainly World War II stuff by the looks of it in that scale. And the interesting thing is there's a Nat as well.
Natter,
A Natter.
Backham.
Yep.
Backham Natter. That thing would be tiny.
So
It's a small enough aircraft in 148 scale.
how good are their kits? How good are Bren Gun kits?
I don't
Do you know?
I haven't seen them in the
They
flesh.
look a little short run.
Yeah, they make resin and plastic. So they make resin, some resin stuff and resin detail sets and injection kits as well.
Just looking at that Nata kit, did you notice the canopy when it showed you the sprues?
Mhm.
The canopy was just like a rod of sprue where they've clipped it off a larger sprue, right? So they, with a normal 48 scale kit, you get all of the canopy as one
Yeah.
sprue, right? On one sprue, one separate sprue. Whereas they've probably got like one sprue and then they've clipped 10
Well, that
canopies
makes
for
sense.
one.
Yeah.
Makes
yeah,
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not too much you can do about that though.
No.
Sweet Models is another company that does a lot of World War II stuff in 1/44th scale.
Particularly Japanese subjects. I've got a few of their kits recently and I've just built.
And some of them come with pussycats.
And some of them come with cartoon cats.
Don't get that. I just don't understand
That's
the
just a whole
prevalence.
manga thing.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, if you're going to sell one of those things, you might be able to sell them to some kids, right? But you can also sell the kit to people like us who will just throw away the little cartoon cats.
But this company, Sweet, is it Sweet Models?
Yeah,
SweetAviationModels.com. You don't just get the aircraft sometimes. Sometimes you get a display stand or like an aircraft carrier flight deck that comes with it as well.
Yeah, they do a range of flight decks and Japanese and US.
So I'm just looking here on their webpage. They've got a Japanese Navy aircraft carrier flight deck set. So it looks like you can build a full-length aircraft carrier deck almost. It's a bit hard to tell. I'm not
Is
sort
it
of
full
giving
length or is it just the
No, just sections.
The,
Oh, look, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can do 5 sections of the deck, which make a fair distance. So then you could cram all the you could build your whole squadron and have them mounted and sitting there. That'd look pretty cool.
yeah, and I think that's one of the sort of elements that the scale lends itself to well is doing little, scenic bases to sit the aircraft on.
Yeah.
It's on land or on an aircraft carrier. Or
Interesting you say that because, like, one thing, I mean, 35th scale armor dioramas always look great, right? There's so much you can do there. But with aircraft, you're kind of limited to, like, a few crates and a lot of empty space on a square base. And, you're kind of struggling to fill it up and make it look believable because there's usually a lack of clutter around planes usually, right?
Correct.
So with
You're right,
144, I think you can do more. You can add more elements without it getting too big.
Absolutely.
yeah, and you can put multiple aircraft as well on one base. quite
Yeah.
easily. And
Yeah.
still on quite a small
Yep.
base.
And also, you don't necessarily need to be really good at painting figures to make a cool looking scene.
No. That's right.
And I mean, aircraft are impressive, or even tanks to a certain degree. I mean, you think about, you go to a model show and you see one 1/72 scale aircraft sitting by itself, or one 1/48 scale aircraft by itself. Imagine if you had like a section, or even or a flight, I should say, is the right term, or even a squadron of them. You couldn't do that in that scale. You can only do that in a smaller scale for it to look really impressive.
Unless you've got the room.
Well, yes, that's true. Unless you got the room, but I mean, how many people got the room?
Was it last year or early this year that someone online put a photo of basically 12 P-40s from the I think it was the 80th Fighter Squadron, the ones with the skulls on the.
Oh yeah,
on the
yeah,
nose. And
yeah.
it was just a whole line of them,
Oh wow.
and it just struck me as just looking really.
Yes, yeah.
Cool. Not
It
only
looks-
P-40s, but they got skulls.
Yeah, and it looks, and that's how they used to line them up. You know, obviously when they weren't in the front line, but they'd, you know, if they're at a rear base, they'd have them
Yep.
all just lined up like that. And
Yeah.
it looks awesome.
Mm.
Also in 144th that I considered buying maybe a year ago, and I still might buy it, is that landing ship, the Pacific World War II landing ship that has all the little 144 Shermans and other vehicles.
No,
Oh,
that's
from
one-
RF Club.
That's one 350 scale.
No.
No, Ravel do.
Yeah,
one.
Revell. This is Revell's
Yeah.
one. It's
Oh.
been out for a while.
Ah,
Yeah, and it struck me because it was in a price range that I would consider buying it at the time that I saw it, but it also had little Shermans inside it, you know, because I like Shermans, and and it also had like a really nice like camouflage scheme that I mean
Yep.
I don't know how accurate the box art was, but it was sort of like, you know, like light greens and dark greens and stuff like that. It was weird, you know.
yeah, yeah.
It wasn't your typical sort of blue ship.
True.
Right?
But the other good thing about this too is your modelling dollar goes a lot further,
Yeah.
because you can buy a lot more. Your paint lasts longer. You're not using as much glue, but you're still getting the same amount of satisfaction out of building it and displaying it in the end.
Yeah, and they are a bit of a quick fix, really.
Yeah.
You can get something together and completed relatively quickly compared to other scales, I guess, where
Yeah.
there's more detail and more
Yeah.
painting and more work involved.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
One of the things I've always liked about the kind of things you do, Chris, is how you could potentially build anything of the things that you build. You could almost put in a picture frame and just hang it on a wall, right? I mean, it would be a very thick picture frame, but you could do it,
A
right?
shadow box.
Yeah.
Shadow box. What's
Shadow box is another thing.
that?
Shadow box.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, shadow box.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like small scale
Yeah. So
things generally. But
Well, I like small scale too. It's just that the small scale things I build are quite large, like ships, and aircraft carriers.
yeah.
I guess I can go to 1/700 scale, but that's no, I couldn't do that.
Oh, really? Why is that?
We'll
I
leave,
don't know.
we'll leave that up to the experts like Callum.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But the scale 1/144th doesn't extend just to aircraft. There's obviously ships you can get in 1/144th scale, which obviously when you build them, they're reasonably large.
Armour.
I haven't seen much armour. Mind you, I haven't really looked to see what
I
you can
remember
get.
that was that the Rutter, that bloody paper Panzer that had the big naval gun on it.
No.
Had the twin barrel.
Oh,
naval gun. And
that's in 1/144th scale.
That came out
Because
with
it's so big.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
and it
Yeah.
also came out with a whole heap of little 144 scale Mulsers.
That's right, yes. I think you got 2 mouses with it.
Yeah.
That thing seems ridiculous to me. I mean, I know it is ridiculous.
Totally impractical. Once you got it off anything solid, it would just sink.
I'm surprised no one has sort of like built one of those and then built one of those little Nazi helicopters that they were experimenting with.
Flettners, yeah.
Yeah, and put one of those sitting on the back of it, kind of thing, and it goes down inside it.
Yeah. Well, here's an idea.
I doubt you. And I mean, who knows how they work inside, right? If they would actually have enough space for that sort of thing, but it's.
You wouldn't, yeah.
I'm surprised someone hasn't done it. It seems like the kind of thing someone would
Someone
do.
probably will now.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
Give me credit.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think we'll take a quick break there. It's running absolutely cats and dogs outside, and it's coming down on my tin roof, and it's creating one heck of a hissing sound. So We'll be back very shortly, and hopefully the rain would have eased by then. And while we're taking this break, it's a great opportunity to just remind you how much we love hearing from you, our listeners. So if you want to get in contact with us, you can send us an email to onthebench64@gmail.com, or you can drop us a note via Facebook, www.facebook.com/onthebench. And apologies for the hissing you're hearing in the background during this episode. But as I mentioned just before, it is absolutely pouring with rain outside, and it's landing on the tin roof. Anyway, on with the show. Rain is still pouring down outside, so we'll crack on and see how we go with this. Anyway, continuing on with the discussion on 1/144th scale.
Yeah, so last club meeting, I was talking to Chris, and he was showing me his 144 kits from Sweet Models.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think I threw up a message on our Facebook the other day as well. I didn't know we were going to be talking about 144. I was like, oh no, have I spoiled the episode or something?
No.
Yeah, I was really impressed by it because you had that little zero.
Yep.
And you could even see like the gun barrels molded into the top of the fuselage just in front of the cockpit. I thought that's an incredible level of detail. I would not have expected that in 144.
Yeah.
It even had like the scissor things on the landing gear struts. What are they called? The scissor links or whatever?
Yep.
Yeah.
The Oleos,
Yeah. So I was really impressed. I mean, prior to that, I would not have considered this scale, right? But I think the technology has come far enough that I think you could, if you're into 70-second scale, I would probably consider going to this, because this is like even smaller. I mean, everyone's got those sort of subjects that are in their particular scale, but that they won't want to build, but they don't build because it's too big. Like I'm a 48 scale person. I would really like to build. I tend to build a lot of twin engine aircraft anyway, just because I love them, but I don't really have the room for them.
Yep.
But I mean, it's one of those things where you could potentially step down a scale just to do the things you really want to do if there's a good enough kit.
Yep.
Like I would consider building some things in 70-second scale, even though it's not really my scale. And the same with this sort of stuff. I mean, I haven't. It does not surprise me at all that Dave's gone down to 144 after looking at the size of some of those kits that he had.
Yeah.
Well, looking at, 'cause it seems almost like a natural progression for me, because I'm used to working on 1/1350 scale aircraft for my ships and stuff. So to me, the 1/140th scale, it's huge. So it's going to be no sort of issue for me, sort of working with that at all.
Also, things like some of the things that you're buying, like Vulcans.
Yes.
Right. Like Vulcans, you can be really into Vulcans, but at the same time, there's a lot of smooth, flat space on those things that are relatively featureless.
True. And the Airfix kit that I bought has got raised panel lines as well, which is another reason for why. Anybody want a cheap Vulcan from Airfix 1/72 scale? Send your request to onthebench64@gmail.com.
Really? You're going to flog your old kit?
I am. Well, what do I want it for now? I mean, I'll sell that. I'll sell the Victor I've got in the FX Victor. It's a beautiful kit in 1/72 scale, and I'm sure I'll get a decent price for that still.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Vulcan, right? I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there. I hope I'm not upsetting anyone. There's a lot of people out there who love the Vulcan, right? People who are crying when they stopped flying the last one, like however many years ago, like a couple of years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah, the last one only flew. It was it was brought back to flying status, and then because of the costs and other airworthy issues, it was taken from non-flying.
But looking at it objectively, as someone who doesn't have any particular romanticism about it, it's got a nice wing. It's got a nice wing shape. It's got nice looking air intakes. It's got a nice looking nose.
Wait a minute. Wait, you can't tell me that looking at that doesn't do something inside you?
No.
Seriously?
No. Not at all.
Really, you too?
No.
Oh my God!
It's an interesting aircraft, but it's not my cup of tea.
Like I tend to see.
It is gorgeous.
I tend to see like most planes as like you look at them in the conceptual stage, like the prototype, and they start off looking really clean, and then they get progressively more busy with lots of details and things because they keep changing them to actually modify them for field conditions. You know, like you look at the early Spitfires and they're quite nice and streamlined. And then after that, they just, okay, they got more. They got tropical air filters. They got guns poking out of their wings.
The Griffin engine on it.
Yeah, they just start piling on all these features, right?
Yeah,
and
like-
those features are kind of what make the plane interesting.
Yep.
Like the 109, when they went to the G model and started putting lumps on the front.
Yeah. Right, but those things give it character, right?
Yep.
I mean, like with P-38, since I'm building a P-38 at the moment, the P-38 concept, the prototype, is a beautiful looking plane, beautiful, smooth, clean lines, but it doesn't have, lots of the details that people associate with P-38s, right? Apart from that, the overall layout of the plane, right? Like if you're a fan of it because it's got all these cute little intakes and vents and things all over it, and counterbalances and all those little details that sort of make a P-38 a P-38, then you're definitely going to build one of the later ones, not one of the early ones.
If you really want to talk about a sexy concept aircraft, the P-40.
Okay.
The first P-40s they just look like something that belonged at Reno.
Right, yeah.
They're just so nice looking, and especially with the bare metal finish on them, polished bare metal, they just looked amazing.
Yeah, but at some point, someone's decided we're going to make this thing look uglier because it needs to fill a combat role,
Correct.
not look pretty.
Yep.
Right, and that's the kind of appeal of military aircraft versus civilian aircraft.
Yep.
Right? We've gone really off topic.
Keep going. It's an interesting discussion. I'm still gobsmacked you don't find that the Vulcan a gorgeous looking aircraft.
Oh, yeah. This is another one of those things where it comes down to your generation, right? Also. Like, if you were around and you were into British aviation, because that was the stuff that was going on when you were growing up.
Oh, it's not just that. I mean, we used to have the Mirages flying around, and it's that Delta wing look. It just looks hot.
Okay. There is, what is it, the Saab? Is it the Draken?
The
Vegan.
Oh, Vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are nice. Like, a lot of the Saabs are nice, I think, because they're a bit odd.
Well, you want to go odd, you go to the F-16 XL.
F6, I don't know what that looks like, but I'm assuming it's very similar.
Delta winged F-16.
Yeah. Gorgeous looking aircraft.
Yeah. Very unusual looking plane.
Yes, I mean, like if I was like going to go really into P-38s, I would have one F, one J, the two main ones, and then somehow, don't ask me how, I would have the prototype, because once you've got the two later military style ones, you kind of can appreciate next to it the simplicity of the prototype.
Yeah, but you'd have to do a droop snoop.
I would love to do a droop snoot,
And
actually.
a night fighter, the little cockpit in behind.
No, I don't like that one.
But don't forget, a lot of the prototypes were designed so the militaries back then, and we're talking like the late 30s and early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So they would come up with, they would say, I want an aircraft that can reach this ceiling, that can go this fast, and can climb this height within a particular time.
And have a range.
And so the way the manufacturers would get there is sometimes they would strip it down. The Brewster Buffalo is a classic example.
Yep.
Ugly aircraft as it is, but when it first came out, it reached all the requirements that the Air Ministry, I think it was, put out for it. But then by the time you put radio in it and put this in it and put that in it, it was a complete dog.
Except for in the hands of Finnish pilots.
Well, that's a good point too, yes.
The Finns had a lot of success with the
Or is that
Buffalo.
because the Soviet pilots were inept?
I think the Finns were probably, but you probably find the Soviet pilots were just, the Finnish pilots were probably a lot better trained.
Well,
at that
isn't
stage.
the general Finnish story in those times sort of a case of we don't have numbers, so we'll have to make it up with skill?
Quality and skill.
Yeah, quality is a better way of putting it, yeah. But
As I was saying, to meet the requirement, the aircraft would be stripped down. I mean, the P-38, it was designed by Kelly.
Yeah.
And it had
The
this...
man who gave us Skunk Works.
Yes, but as much as a inspired sort of design it is, it had an awful trouble with that with the
diving problems and
with the tail on the back. We used to flutter,
and
he wouldn't accept that as being an issue.
No, of course not. too much money involved.
Go back and read the history of
Oh
it.
yeah, I'm sure I will. I'll get into it at some point. But there's so many planes I'm building and stuff, you know. You only got so much time, you know.
True.
But another example is like you look at the different, like you got like the early Spitfires, you got late Spitfires, and then you got like the prototype. Prototype doesn't even have exhaust stops. It's just so smooth and shiny and.
And again, that was so that the aircraft would reach the Air Ministry specification that the Air Ministry put out.
Mm.
Once you put paint on the aircraft, that's weight and drag.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why a lot of the prototypes were just polished,
Yep.
so they could sort of get to their required speed and everything. And, I mean, you look at today's airliners, all that paint on it, you know how much that weighs?
Yeah.
It weighs so much to have an aircraft painted and then flying
And
around.
even military aircraft, especially during the Second World War, a lot of those aircraft were polished. People don't realise that. A lot of those planes weren't a flat colour. They'd polish them so they can get the extra few miles per hour out of it.
Yeah.
I remember reading something about
Australia.
Australian Spitfires, for example.
Yep.
They used to get the ground crew out there with furniture polish.
Yep, and that's why they had that gloss finish
Yep.
look to them. Yep,
And
absolutely.
Polish the heck out of the wings
Yep,
and the
absolutely.
fuselage. So there you go.
It's kind of a shame that you can't get like all your favorite planes, the prototypes versions.
Well, you
right?
probably could. You just got to do a bit of scratch building.
And stepping back to the 1/144th scale.
Yeah, I know we've gone quite a distance, haven't we? We walked off the road and got lost in the woods.
getting the Vulcan, which I intend to do very shortly.
Mhm.
And that's a beautiful gloss. That was all, and they were kept in immaculate condition. Those bombers,
Yeah.
except the Victor, when it was used in the desert, had that god awful sort of pink
scheme.
camouflage scheme to it. I don't know what the RAF was thinking, but obviously some
Be like a PR pink.
some Rupert thought, oh, that's just a jolly good idea. Let's
No, you'd be
paint this."
surprised, especially when they're flying over the Middle East. The colours of the sky.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be the guy who came up with that idea, because then imagine him trying to sell it. No, trust me, guys, it'll work.
Well,
I don't know.
it'll certainly look different on the modelling shop in a sort of nice sort of desert pink.
And when you compare that to say World War One, where the German soldiers in World War One refused to change, they wouldn't change the color of their uniforms because you know how the British had gone to khaki.
Yeah.
They wouldn't change the color of the uniforms. They're like, oh, how can now soldiers expect to have the courage to fight the enemy if they're dressed to hide, kind of thing.
What about the poor French soldiers? They had those blue coats
Yeah,
and
the
they had
bright
that great
blue.
big red stripe down their trousers.
Yeah.
Poor buggers.
See them a mile away.
They went, jeez.
Things have changed
Yeah.
quite a lot.
And thank God they've changed too.
Yeah, true. True.
Practicality versus aesthetic.
Yeah, but talking about the 1 to 144 scale, Chris,
Yep.
how do you go with masking canopies?
Yeah, that's the biggest challenge I've come across. The rest, because they're very low parts count, I guess, relative to other larger scales, that they go together, and the quality of the kits I've been making, fortunately, have been good. So they go together really well. But yeah, the masking the canopy's been the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
The F4U Corsair wasn't too bad because not a very complex framing on that.
Yep.
And it was quite well cast, so I managed to do that with little bits of masking tape. But the Zero is quite a
Yeah, that'd
quite
be
a
a fun one.
complex
Yeah.
canopy, and the framing on it's quite fine in places. But what I did with that was I just ended up painting masking fluid into it, just running it in very small amounts of masking fluid, and then leaving it at that and hoping it didn't go over the framing too much.
Yes. Then you got to do the touch-ups.
Yeah.
See, that's
exactly.
one thing that scares me away from some of the kits of Japanese subjects. If I can't get an Eduard masking set for them, I won't do them.
Yeah.
I would love to build a lot of the stuff from fine molds, but
Lazy.
that's yeah. I'll wear that. I'm too lazy to go to that level of trouble.
A small metal ruler, a good X-Acto blade, and just lay lay your tape down on some glass and just cut it out in the little shapes.
Or spend half a second buying it in the form of a laser cut mask, and the laser cut mask is always going to be more accurate than I am.
Sometimes they don't fit.
Yeah, sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
I've had some
I've
that
had a
don't
few.
fit.
Yeah, you've got to add bits to them
Yeah.
or cut them back a bit.
I think Eduard are pretty consistent, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, Edouard's pretty consistent.
Yeah. You also got to watch out if you've bought the wrong masking set for the right subject in the right scale, but for the wrong kit. Right?
Yep.
So if you buy, say, for example, a masking set for, say, the Hasegawa P38 and not the Academy one, then you're going to run into some trouble.
Yep. Too true.
I'm sure you can get masks for 1/144 scale.
Yeah,
Let's
I'm
have
sure
a
you
quick
can.
look at Edouard there, and they're not showing anything at all. But
I'm pretty sure your MiG-21 comes with the canopy masks.
I'm pretty sure it does as well.
We'll just have a look.
So
I'll open the box
I
and
have seen them.
Well,
listed.
generally, it may only come with the.
yeah, it does.
it does. There you go.
There you go. Little yellow sheet.
Oh well, I'm buying Edouard 144
Happy
scale only.
days. That's right. Yeah.
Yes, I'm very thankful for the existence of Edouard canopy masks.
Yeah.
It enables to be.
Oh,
me
they're
to
a
build.
huge time saver.
Yeah, there are also sometimes, like when they've got really fine frames and a lot of windows, you really have to have them all looking perfect and not have a single thing out of place for it to look really nice.
Yep.
Like the eye will just unconsciously pick out misaligned stuff in those canopies.
Yes, true. Very true.
And that's the thing, the eye's drawn to something that's not quite correct,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, and there's nothing worse.
Yeah, the sort of what people call the OCD thing,
Yeah.
where it's like the one pencil that's out of alignment
Yeah.
in a row of them.
So, Chris, you were saying with your masks in the 1/144 scale, you just use a mask goal?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Because that's quite thick, though.
Yeah.
I heard you can thin it down.
Yeah, I didn't do that. This was just the Humbrol stuff. I had
Yeah,
a
the-
bottle of
yeah.
I had a bottle of Darla and Rowney or something, an artist's from an art shop.
Right.
And that was a bit thick, and I'd had it for a while, so I chucked that out and bought a new bottle of the Humbrol, the purple stuff, which is quite good because you can see it when it goes on as well. See where you've put it. before it
Molotow,
dries.
the chrome pens you got,
Yep.
they also do a masking pen.
Yeah, right.
Well, I saw somewhere online recently where a guy made his own paintable masks, and he used, I think it's PVA glue, watered it down, I think it might have been 50-50, and added food dye so you can see where it actually goes.
Yeah.
And then once it dries, you can just rub it off with your thumb afterwards.
Yeah.
So you can get it into that little section
Yep.
of the canopy you want to cover and protect, and then when you spray it, just sort of rub it off with your finger.
Yeah, and that's what I used the Humbrol mask
Okay.
stuff for, and that worked fine.
But how did you apply it? Because it comes with its own
On-
little brush, doesn't it?
No
Oh.
brush. So I just used a fine paintbrush. But you've got to be quick because it dries really quick.
Yeah, it wrecks your paintbrush.
Yeah, exactly.
So it gives you really cheap.
So you got to get it on where you want it,
Yep.
and get it on quick. And if you touch it again, like if you try to add, say you've missed a little bit,
It'll
Yep.
peel back.
it peels it all off. So so you got to. So it's a bit of a one-shot deal for each little pane of the canopy.
Yep. And if you go over the pane, let it dry, and then attack it with a knife and just cut that little bit extra off.
Yeah,
Or a toothpick.
Yeah, just a toothpick and pull the whole bit off and then redo it. Because that's the beauty of these things. They're tiny, so it's
Yeah.
only like a dab.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
If
yeah.
you have to take it off, take it off.
Also, your very fine paintbrushing skills probably add an element of
Maybe
accuracy
helped
to
a bit.
yours.
Yeah, that's it.
There's no substitute for skill after all.
True.
Well,
And large magnification.
That was actually a trap because there is a substitute and they're called Edouard canopy masks.
you were saying old age will beat something every time or something.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
right,
remember how
yep.
that saying goes now.
Yep, totally agree.
Oh, dear. All right, I think we're just about done and reaching the end of this particular episode. Before I do, shout out to our Canadian friends, the Scale Model Podcast. Yes, we listen, guys, and we heard your joke about Aussies being crazy with their photo etch.
Yes,
let
we
me
are.
Let me say it's not Aussie, it's just Ian. It's a
Yes,
crazy
just me.
one when
Yep.
it comes to
There is
photo
only
etch.
one.
Absolutely. Also, our thoughts go out to our American listeners, especially those in California with those horrendous fires.
Yep. Yes, apparently it affected Paul Fisher
I did it.
from Fisher Models. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately, he lost it. I think lost everything.
Oh, the poor guy.
Yeah.
We've being here in Victoria, Australia, we're well accustomed to what those
Oh, yeah.
type of wildfires can do.
No, we ever.
And you know, I've been through two of them, Black Saturday and Ash Wednesday.
Yep.
Particularly Black Saturday. So I'm well aware of the ferocity and the damage and impact it can have on the community. So keep strong.
We're thinking of you.
Life does continue afterwards,
Mhm.
and as long as you're still walking upright and living and breathing, everything else can be replaced.
That's it.
So I think that's about it. Chris, thank you very much for coming along once again.
Not a problem. My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Always a blast.
And sorry, over to you, Ian.
Well, I don't know if you were going to mention about how we got a sponsor now.
Yeah, that's already mentioned at the very beginning. I've already done that.
Oh, jeez, I mustn't have been listening. I was way with the fairies,
That's all right.
mate.
Yeah, Fine Scale Modeler is now a big supporter of
Yep.
On the Bench. And just pop
Great.
along their website, www.finescalemodel.com, and have a look at their excellent magazine. You can get either a hard copy delivered to your letterbox, or you can get a
Download
digital
it.
copy.
Yep.
Which I find is quite good, the digital copy, because you can sort of really expand the pictures on my iPad or on my computer and get a good look at it.
Yeah.
My eyes are starting to fail me, and I find being able to zoom in very helpful.
Well,
Yes.
digital's always going to be more accurate than the printing, right?
What?
Like, rather than the printed form,
Yeah.
which the detail is set, right? But with
Yeah.
photos, you can always, like, if they have it in like really high enough resolution, you can just keep blow them up, really
Sure,
get a good look.
Yep.
Absolutely, yep.
Mm.
Yep, I'm with you now.
Yep. Yes.
Yes.
Ian, any parting words?
Oh, yeah. Just going to keep plodding along with the shikaku, mate. That's all I can do, mate. Just keep plodding along.
Oh, dear.
It's an epic.
And Julian.
Yeah, I just want to say that I am not I am not sponsored by Eduard, but I do endorse their canopy masks.
All right, thanks very much, Julian. Okay, thanks very much, guys, and we'll be back in a fortnight with the next episode.